Our greater life. Once again. One and only unmistakable pagan rebel. More time more to work with, that's the thing for you know. I don't know, say everybody have to see life differently. To a different field because we're naturally separated with creation. Believe it or not. You know. Equally wicked as is righteous, may I always say the gods are. You know, constant balance of the negative and positive. And most of the way, I want to accept more time because we come to the acceptance of the unisexual acceptance of God being an individual, predominantly a male. You see the eye? But I want to do one say, God, my friend, and family. You see, God is two energy. And no matter how a man want to take it, God is two energy. And these two energy consistent with time. I use the term negative and positive, highlighting it from Thomas Edison identification of the light bulb, you know? Because them two energy did linger a while before it was identified and realized the potency and power in the energy until he had put them together and created the light bulb. I relegate this to the human factors and I wouldn't say the human factor, but living creatures, because you are gone. Everything need to connected, a male and a female, in similarity to the God concept. You see it? So when I use the term negative and positive, I identify the God and the Satan we use every day. But we fail to accept truth because the way in which we thought. Now, we might understand things from the doctrine that we've been fed over the years, you know, and the way in which we fed those doctrines and the way in which we accept it over the years and we're entrenched, we tend to accept it as a means of warfare, and most of us not understanding the way in which we accept things via doctrination is a tactic of warfare. See? I would use, for instance, our life as an example, the black African who brought to the Caribbean and the England and English and the Americans, the many years that we were taken. We don't have an original language because that was meant to eradicate in order for us to be controlled, in order to set us back to keep us in a position of inferiority, which was necessary. I acknowledge the great tactical powers of William Lynch. We must never take a manpower from them. Understand? And Professor William Lynch was a great mind within his time. Understand? To make the transition of racism from racism to classism to today where we have employment and status in employment and areas and position in terms of education, you know, the college, the university, separation of power, growth and development in the term and tactic of business just the same. We, the African, have 10 times tried to hold on to a believed history that we were the first wielders of knowledge. Family, I'm here to tell you that the history that we've been fed is not true. And without a natural history of the African, we have no truth in our history. Understand? And us being a first wielder of knowledge is not a factual statement. That needs to be corrected. Understand? If our language and our history being the first owner or the first owner of a university, we would have been the dominant and whole world power up to this point. Now we have no place where power is concerned. And all the dominance has been taken from us and have us relegated to be nothing but laborers, constantly from slave to laborers to consumers. That's the position that the black man holds today. A position of inferiority. Now, I would want them to look back because all I'm saying right now is not a written doctrine that I'm reading from. I'm reading from the content of my mind and my own natural reasoning. You understand? Now, looking at the geographical sphere of Earth and the place that Africa exists and the means of getting to Africa from Europe, it would take a great deal of effort because the access to the African continent would have been mostly been done via boats, which was the early means of marine transportation. To this point now where we have engine boat, sailboat and aeroplane, if we were the wielders of knowledge, there's no possible way that a few mans and boats and sailboat could have come to Africa, capture and take away all our people and eradicate our history to this point. and kept us in this inferior position. Understand? So for the European to have come to Africa, and both, that means that the European knowledge was also way advanced and way more advanced than the African, to the point that they could have been able to done that. And next factor I think would have been possible for the captivity of African was the dislike for skin color. You understand? The dislike for skin color and the love we have for another man's color would have been one of the major factors. And another thing would have been religion. Because the African have a strong tie with the God concept. And I didn't think they have a fully knowledge of the God. But sighting an image that seemed different from them, and I immediately fall in love with it. They accept it as the power of God and give the white man the God power. You understand what I say? No, I'm not saying what I'm saying is fact. I stand corrected. But family, these issues that we've been fed over the years need to revert, recheck before we have it delivered and fed it to our kids over the years. If we even look at the Marcus Garvey was a much later bit of history to apply to the black life. And it had been eradicated because it never taught in school. You understand? It repelled because these people didn't want the African to have any true history of their strength, but only to accept a place of weakness. You understand? It's a tactic that the development of the schooling system from the primary to the university level was structured. It was structured for a means of control and maintaining us in the inferior position. There's nothing that we were taught from the African or African continent. There's nothing come out of the African diaspora. Even to navigate to Africa, to travel to Africa today's age, we have to via the European continent, whether France or the America or England, in order to get to Africa. There's not a straight cut that goes directly into Africa. There's no books that come out of Africa that is not being further questioned or checked before them can pass through, unless you go and smuggle it. Understand? So we have no history of our own to depend upon. We are living a lie, and the history will never be true. And we're still living a lie and still holding on to this fake business called religion. You understand? And accepting it as being God's gift, man. They fed us fear in order to control us. The fear of God. You understand? How must I fear God? God is equally wicked as he is righteous. You understand? Because there's a balance between two energies. We can't change the concept of earth. And if you want to know how factual that is, you and I exist in this lifetime. We don't want to die. The only two things man quest for in life is God and food. You see me? Every life form quest for God and food. And as a means of searching for that, there's a study that is called psychology. The control subject of the universe. And whenever you find that which a thing need, and you can hold that and give them limited portion and keep them coming, you can control that thing, that individual, that group, that person. Family, lie and truth will always be a constancy of life. Right and wrong will always be constant with life. Life and death will always be constant with life. Truth and lie will always be constant with life. We will always have our ups and downs. The way in which we navigate life is by making choice between the two God forces. And that's negative and positive. Whether you want to call it God or Satan, they'll be consistent with time. Because until our life depart, and until the world will ever end, the world will never end. It's a constant. You understand? We all form part of the food chain. All of us feed on each other. I mean everything with life feed on each other. And everything take a part in death. And that death we fed, you also fed back to the development of the earth structure, which is the larger life form. So we are a life inside of a life, existing for a life, and that's an eternal life. There's no other way to it in general. Everything happening in life, to life and for life. One pagan rebel. We give thanks, family. One more time again. Pagan rebel.